Hello guys and welcome back to the Yellow Couch. This is YCFT and yet again we are talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. In particular we are talking about the original film. So Sam has donned an outfit quite similar to what Leatherface wears.
You get it right.
Wasn't a fan of me making a Leatherface mask out of ham.
Well, maybe for another video.
Maybe for another one. So I just went with the... What even do I call one of these ones?
Apron.
The apron with the bones on it. You know,
You're welcome.
You're welcome. We put effort into this.
Yeah, we realised we didn't really have a lot of set dressing.
So I don't own a chainsaw.
We should probably get on that.
I should probably invest in a chainsaw.
But yeah, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974.
Leatherface is the granddaddy of slashers. It's in 1974.
It is.
The Silent Killers.
Yes, absolutely.
So we don't just want to do a straight up review of this film because we watched it in preparation for doing a video on the new film.
Yeah, we actually
kind of remind
Yeah.
ourselves. We didn't plan this. So when we realized when watching it, like, is this film actually still scary in 2022? The short answer is yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely it is. So
Yeah.
we're just going to discuss what we think still makes this film scary to a modern audience.
Why is this film a classic?
So do you want to give us a bit of background on the film?
I will. Okay, so filming for this begins in 1973. It is loosely inspired. The film is loosely inspired, of course, by killer Ed Gein.
Yeah, didn't kill enough people to be classed as a serial killer.
He's not technically a serial killer. He killed 2 people. I think we're going back to the 40s and 50s now.
Robbed a lot of graves.
But he did robbed a lot of graves.
In theory, people think he might have killed a third person when he was young. He might have killed his brother.
Never been proven.
It's never been proven, but they went in the woods together and he ended up slipping and caving his head in on a rock.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of brotherly jealousy, all these on Ed's side of it, about having jealous about having to share his mother's love.
Yeah.
So I think it's 3.
It could potentially be 3. I mean, he killed 2, potentially 3 people, and he made a lot of arts and crafts from exhumed body parts.
His doorbell was a nipple.
Yes, and I believe I'm right in saying he did make skin masks.
He did. He also made
a suit.
A kind of suit of breasts and a vagina.
I think so.
Basically,
there was a particular penchant for female bodies.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting considering part of Leatherface is psyche.
He's the big, obviously, he is the, like you said, he's the inference for Norman Bates in Psycho.
He is.
He is also the inspiration behind Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, Silence of the Lambs. This man's inspired a lot of
He's
great
inspired
films.
A lot.
Can't be denied.
And really weirdly interesting guy.
Can I just ask you a question just right off the bat before we get into the plot? Do you think this is one of the most misremembered horror films of all time?
Yes. You remember it as this super violent, gory film, but there's probably about a pint of blood in the entire...
If that.
What was it Mark Commode said about it is, when you watch it a second time, you'll realise that a lot of what you remembered about this film, you'd kind of made up.
Yeah, it's all in your head.
A lot of it is in your head, because there's a lot of implied violence, and I think walks that line so much of being...
Exactly. I think the title alone invites you to think that, oh my god, this is going to be just a super outright gore fest.
Yeah. But it isn't.
But it isn't.
And it's
still
the
very
filming style is
disturbing.
almost documentary.
It is.
Until we start adding a lot of like camera movements, it feels documentary-esque because things, the Texas setting, everything is very bright, it's very warm, the characters are sweaty, everything's dirty, like a documentary, and there's certain scenes that I want to talk about in a bit that I think lean into that documentary style.
And also, at the very beginning, the film posits with a title card saying that this is based on a true story. This is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a real event. So right away, before we even are introduced to characters, it puts you in that mindset of, we are watching something here that we should not be watching.
What I think is really
this is going to be grim
about this film, and what none of the sequels have ever been able to do is this film doesn't actually have a plot.
No.
This is just an event that happens to these people. They are there for a reason. They're visiting, I think it's their father or their grandfather's old house that they spend time. But really, they're just passing through. And this event just happens to them.
Yeah.
And I think another thing that's misremembered is people think Leatherface is hunting these kids down. No, they need fuel. This film is like so much analysis on what it means.
Yeah.
How it represents the economy at the time, and because the gas station doesn't have any fuel. Yeah, that was quite common, especially in those areas.
Yeah, in the early 70s in America, it was a real problem, the fuel crisis.
Yeah, they hear a generator in the neighbours. They go ask if they have any fuel. They technically invade on Leatherface's terrain. And
well, yeah, I mean, you are totally right. It sounds kind of bizarre to say about that. This one masterpiece of cinema, this famous film. It actually doesn't really have a story.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of hard to say, like, what is this film about? It's a group of young people who are murdered very brutally by this very strange family.
But there's no point us delving deeply into the plot or lack of plot or what happens. It's a very famous film at this point. Like, I think even if you've not seen it, it's been around for so long and it's influenced so much that you will know parts of this film.
Exactly. You'll be familiar with elements of this story.
What I want to talk about is two scenes in particular, the ones I said that lean into the documentary film style, that make you so uncomfortable. The first one is the scene with the hitchhiker.
Yeah.
They pick up a hitchhiker, which film has always told you is never a good idea.
Yep.
And the scene that follows is so awkward, but you don't leave. It holds on shots for so long. That whole scene goes on for... Does it outstay its welcome? Kind of yes and kind of no. It feels like it, because you feel like you are the cameraman just stuck in this situation.
Yeah, you were there.
You're stuck
in the
there
van
until that situation plays out. Once the tension starts in this film, it doesn't really let up.
No.
Because even when there's not things happening, there's an unease because everything feels uncomfortable. And the other scene is the dinner table scene when Sally's being captured. And you have, obviously, there is cannibalism.
Yes,
in this.
This strong theme of cannibalism in this film.
Yeah. And again, you are stuck in that situation. And that's what I think.
It's a waking
nightmare. It leans into that documentary thing because you're just witnessing this. There's nothing you can do. The editing isn't saving you from this. You are just stuck watching this play out.
I totally agree. And I think, the whole documentary style of it, I guess you could, in a way, you can argue for and against it because, yes, it feels documentary-like. It's shot on 16mm camera for one thing, so you kind of have that graininess and all of it. There's no special dialogue in this film. The characters are just talking about just throwaway stuff as they're in the van. We don't get to know the characters particularly well. If the character we assume is probably going to be the main character ends up getting killed off.
It's one of those things. I feel like we would criticize other films for doing stuff like that. We did criticize the new one for us not really knowing the characters, but
yeah,
how can a film that basically doesn't really have a plot and doesn't really have developed characters? But this is why this film, it is a masterpiece.
It really is. And I mean, for me, the very first kill in this film, probably one of the most iconic. It's not even with a chainsaw. We only get one chainsaw kill in this film for a start.
Yeah.
But the first kill, it comes out of nowhere.
Absolute nowhere.
It is so jarring because it happens so suddenly.
It's the aftermath that makes it more uncomfortable. And the body is just...
Oh god,
it's shaking on the ground.
I first saw that when I was very young. I think my mom was watching like a top 50 horror film kills of all time, and that was on there. Kirk, the character is called, and Kirk goes into the Sawyer's house looking for gas?
Gas, yeah, he wants gas.
And he goes a little bit further into the house. Leatherface appears in the doorway, panics, smashes this guy over the head with a hammer, doesn't kill him outright. He's just left convulsing on the floor. Yeah. And it's so disturbing. But I also think it's one of the reasons why it's so disturbing, because there's no blood, really. There's not a lot of gore.
No, but again, after the swingers come, you are stuck in that moment still. It's so uncomfortable.
I also think it's so dramatic because it's so undramatic. there's nothing building up for you thinking, oh, there's going to be a jump scare here. This is a guy who's just walking through a house.
Yeah. And if you look
there's no real like musical accompaniment though either, is there? It's not like the music is building and buildings. There's no like breath of relief. It's just boom.
Yeah.
There's a kill.
And the more I watch it, the more you think like because the scene of Ozzy we follow the next kill, when Kurt's girlfriend.
She goes in to figure out where the hell's my boyfriend gone.
And she looks in other rooms of the house and discovers the furniture made of bone, just covered in like just dirt and feathers from the chickens and
Isn't there a pig walking around as well?
Yeah, obviously that leads to the Ed Gein
yes, yeah, that's
side of
very
it, making
heavily
furniture
influenced there.
And it's horrifying. And obviously she then encounters Leatherface, just grabs it, slams the door, like the iconic shot of like the door slamming.
Yeah.
Puts her on a meat hook.
Which you don't see the gore of that.
No.
Obviously, she's on the meat hook, but there's no like grisly, gnarly
the bit that I think
tearing or anything.
Possibly one of the most important scenes for Leatherface happens next, because then after that, he goes and he sits in the corner of a room on a chair. He's like, he's panicking.
He has a little breakdown.
He has a little bit of a breakdown because he's clearly a bit mentally impaired. But like, he's just, obviously, he's done horrible things. He's clearly killed before. He's clearly grave robbed, potentially with his brother. I think the hitchhiker did more of the grave robbing, I'm going to say.
I think that's what it kind of is pointing to, yeah.
So they've done horrible things, but he didn't go out to kill these kids.
No.
These kids came into his house and he reacted. Obviously, they didn't have any malintent, but he just panicked. That brief moment of him sitting down and like taking it all in.
Oh my God, these kids.
This character, that instantly makes him a much more interesting character now, I think. Because the film wasn't received well when it came out.
No.
Critics hated it.
Mm.
And yeah, I think that instantly makes him a deeper. Then we can go in later on, like when we see him at the dinner table and he's got his suit on. He's got his mask on.
He's dressed up for tea.
Obviously, he has his face. We only briefly hear him called Leatherface once in the film.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we don't actually know the Sawyer. We don't actually find out their names until later film.
Mm.
It's the three brothers of Leatherface, the hitchhiker, and the cook.
Mm.
He puts makeup on.
Puts makeup on the mask, yeah.
Again, leaning towards that Ed Gein thing about him wanting to be
that feminization.
A woman. And Leatherface almost takes on a motherly role within the house.
Yeah, he does. He
we
does.
see him like he prepping dinner. And
yeah,
he seems to be the one that takes... Well, he looks after the family.
I think so.
I gather he's the one that stays home the most. Because the hitchhiker had a job. We see the cook runs the gas station.
We know what he does.
We know what he does. So Leatherface is the one that looks after the house.
And in doing so, takes on that kind of motherly, well, we assume,
he's staying after Grandpa.
Role. Yeah.
He looks after Grandpa.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially traditionally more feminine roles.
He's a much more deeply psychologically interesting character than I think a lot of people would presume.
Yeah.
It's not something that's ever really been explored.
No.
But it's there. And it asks so many questions about what the fuck is it about this guy?
Yeah. Why does he wear the face?
Why does he even want to wear the
reboot,
face?
The 2003 one, gives us a reason, is a disfigurement, but doesn't outwardly say in this film that he has a disfigurement.
No. And to be fair, I kind of like the guessing. Not everything does need to be explained necessarily. I always love
that phrase that Toby Hooper says this film is all about meat.
That is a direct quote.
The direct quote is all about meat. This film plays into that primal fear of being captured and eaten. Yeah. Any animal is afraid of being captured by a bigger animal and eaten.
Yeah.
That is what this film plays on. It's that fear that there is something out there that can capture you and eat you.
Yeah.
They are animals in this.
Absolutely they are. I mean, again, the whole sort of the documentary feel that this film has. The first kill, it comes out of nowhere. We linger on scenes for uncomfortably long amount of times. We don't get to know these characters well. We're only rooting for them because we know now they're up against a bigger foe.
Yeah.
But we don't really have a protagonist even. We don't really have a main character that we follow throughout the film.
It's like we have Sally as the survivor, but she's not a survivor like... Well... She's like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. She's a survivor. She has to fight. This just happens to Sally, and she takes an opportunity to escape.
Yeah. see, she's not a protagonist, I guess, in the traditional sense of a movie protagonist. Like, a main character, by definition, drives a plot.
Yeah.
You know, the plot revolves around them. As you say, this just happens to her and she reacts to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she becomes the main character simply because she's the only one left
Yeah.
at the end. And that is it. And
that's kind of like, if you were to view your life as a movie, if something like this
Yeah.
happened, that's kind of how it would work.
this
Because
is it.
Toby Hooper wrote this, and he wrote it as well, didn't he? As with a woman called Kim Henkel.
It's actually a bloke.
Kim Henkel's a what?
Yeah.
My mind is blown. I just assumed this has been a woman the entire. Because I know Henkel is still executive producing
Yeah.
these.
Yes, yeah, still involved. Toby Hooper
Wow.
passed away.
I am so sorry, Kim. I thought you were a woman.
I was a bit shocked as well. I saw a picture and I was like, that is definitely a man with a beard. There you go.
But it's like, it's one of those films. Do you think a lot of the creative choices, do you think it came from not having that much budget and having to get creative? Is the lack of things in this film purely a budgetary thing?
Potentially.
It's just been made by a master filmmaker.
Yeah, because I do think, again, going back to the style, we don't see a lot of blood in this film. That might have been a budgetary thing. Toby Hooper may have wanted to make it very gory, but he couldn't. But I think what it lacks in those arenas, we do make up for in style.
Mm-hmm.
We have some lovely shots in this film. We have some very interesting camera work in this film.
Yeah. A lot of following up.
Tracking shots.
Looking up, usually at people walking, like a lot of bum shots. That's been replicated in multiple sequels.
Yeah. Lots of very interesting camera work in this.
I would say that's a bit of an egregious shot if it wasn't done so much from different, not just for our shots. It's used a lot through. Yeah, it's used a lot throughout the film for various things.
Yeah, the actress.
Kind of like, I see that as the audience. We are just kind of following behind what's going on here.
Yeah,
it's that thing of like, we're just going along for this.
Going along with it.
She didn't like that one, did she?
She did not like that shot. When she saw the finished film, she was a bit annoyed with Toby Hooper. But I think over time she's softened to it because she's realised just how iconic a shot it is, and she realised it wasn't meant to be a sexual.
No, because there's no sex in this film.
No, there is not. There's no nudity in this film. There's nothing.
Yeah, stuff that would make its way into the sequels.
It would inevitably make its way into the sequels. But yeah, I mean, it's, going back to Sally, and how she's not really the main character. You sort of touched on it, where it just inherently unsettles the viewer.
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing, I guess, we all like to do, we all like to assume that we are in control of things. We're in control of our lives. We're in control of what happens to us. We make active choices. Sally doesn't have any of this. It is all stripped away.
It's all stripped. She is just reacting from situation to situation.
Her only goal here is to stay alive.
Mm-hmm. So, speaking of like great shots, what has become a really iconic shot of Leatherface swinging the chainsaw around. It's lovely golden hour as the sun's coming up. I will give this the 2022 one. That was also really good swinging the chainsaw scene.
Yeah.
But it's become so iconic, and it just looks amazing. Yeah,
it really, really does. And there's also a cool fact that when we do have a character that is killed by a chainsaw, it's Sally's brother, who is in a wheelchair for all of the film. It's called Franklin.
Yeah.
Franklin.
Him being in the only reason she stayed alive at this point is because she's had to stay behind with him.
To look after him. But yeah, he's killed by a chainsaw. So then we have a chainsaw chase through the woods, through the forest.
Real chainsaw.
Which was a real chainsaw because they couldn't afford to have a prop one made. So that's Gunnar Hansen just running around in the dark with an actual chainsaw. But they realised...
He did such a good job.
Oh, he's great. But when they were doing that sequence, they realised very quickly that Gunnar Hansen could actually outrun Marilyn Burns, who plays Sally. He was actually technically faster than her, and that's not what was required for the scene. So then I think they did another take where they had her slow down a bit. Oh no, they had him slow down a bit, but it didn't look right.
I think just gave her a big head start, didn't they?
I think it was Gunnar that suggested, look, how about she starts running, and then if I need to bide some time because the branches are getting in the way, so how about if I just chainsaw a few of the branches, and like that has to slow me down. So that's something I just thought that was really cool, and that is something that we see in the film. But yeah, you could have 6'4" Gunnar Hansen could outrun Marilyn Burns very easily with a chainsaw.
It's like one thing I almost didn't notice the first time when she does make it back to the gas station. It's the reveal that the cook
Is in on it.
Because he said, like, "Oh, we got some great barbecue." I never noticed the body parts on the barbecue thing the first time I watched it, because it's kind of just off and in the background.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's a film about meat.
It's all about me. Because it opens with like some desecrated corpses in a sexual position, doesn't it? It's like
lingers on that for a very uncomfortably long time. Just this very slowly tracking backwards as we see these corpses that have been positioned in the sweltering Texan heat as well.
This film feels
it's so
warm.
It's so uncomfortable. Again, that documentary style of like you see the sweat dripping from the characters.
You can't control the elements. It's not. It almost feels like this can't be on a set. It's hot. We've just got to deal with it. Which really, they were filming in Texas. They couldn't control the heat, and it just added to. It's like I reckon there was a couple of happy accidents happening as well to make this feel the way it does.
This film was a nightmare to make.
I can imagine.
It was very uncomfortable for the cast and crew,
especially for Gunnar Hansen.
In a suit with a. I don't even know how they made the mask, but
the dinner scene especially was hard because there was a lot of rotting meat.
That was hell. Gunnar Hansen said he had to leave the room and vomit a few times because just the smell and just the tense atmosphere was making him feel really queasy.
Yeah,
and you feel that as the viewer watching it. It's so intense, and then the dinner scene as well where they've tied Sally down and she is screaming and screaming and screaming, and we have these really like jarring close-ups of her face, of her eyes, and her mouth. We can even see her fillings in her mouth where it was so uncomfortably close. And there's a moment where just in sheer desperation she says, "Please, I'll give you anything you want." And I think when I watched that, I took that as like she assumes they want her maybe sexually.
Yeah.
They're going to rape her. I don't think that's a threat in this film.
I think they're going to eat her.
They are going to eat her. But just out of sheer desperation, that's what she thinks might try and save her. But
this is the one thing I have to give you.
It's the one thing that I can do. But yeah, that is not something that is. It's not a threat by Leatherface in any of the films. This big kind of hulking man-child, like sexuality does not ever really enter the scene.
No.
With the Texas Chainsaw movies. But it's so inherently disturbing. For multiple different reasons. This movie.
Yeah. But it is a masterpiece.
It is.
It's not something I would you cannot casually watch this film, but I definitely think even people who aren't into horror should watch it to get an appreciation to see what you can do with, because what was its budget?
No one seems to know for sure. It started out as $60,000. That inflated to about $150,000, but it's not really.
Do we know how much it made?
I don't know how much it made.
'Cause I know it's like it got. That was one that got banned in the UK as well, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a video nasty. It was not allowed in the UK for a very, very long time. But yeah, I think when you try and come down to it, why does this film still work in today's day and age? This little low budget movie that was made in blisteringly hot summer of the 70s.
It's both dated and timeless.
Yeah, I like, well, I say I think for me what works is just how it just kind of posits this thing of there is just such a lack of control.
Yeah.
Ultimately, everything can change in just the fractal of a second. Nothing is ever the same again. And also just kind of how impersonal fate can actually be.
Yeah.
There's no intervention here. These characters just have to survive. And it's like, even at the end where she escapes, it's just by sheer chance the hitchhiker is run over.
Yeah.
That guy driving the truck wasn't there to save Sally. He just happened to be driving by. The car that Sally inevitably gets into to escape from Leatherface, he's not there to save her either. He just happens to be driving by. It's like, it's all so impersonal, and it just kind of cements home this really horrible idea of just shit happens.
Yeah.
And you just got to crack on with it. It's a bad day for everyone.
It's a bad day. Even Leatherface, it's a bad day for him.
He's having a really bad day.
So, do we have anything else on that?
Oh man, there's so much to say about this. I mean, critics have analysed this film to death. Academics have studied this film. So many people have really kind of looked into like deeper analysis of what this film is, how it's an inversion of the family, how it's some kind of twisted fairy tale. It's an analogy of Vietnam also as well. It's people have really looked into
this deep,
like the nihilism of the film as well.
Yeah. So it's like, but to answer what we answered at the beginning, is it still scary in 2022? Yes.
Absolutely it is.
Because nothing is what you expect.
No.
And there's no jump scares, there's no musical cues that what's going on.
It's in broad daylight for most of the film.
Happen. Yeah, it's in broad daylight for the majority of the film.
Yeah, it's so simple. And I think the lack of explanation, and also at the very end of the film, the lack of catharsis that you feel. Sure, Sally escapes, she gets away, but there's no real like sigh of relief. There's no like, oh my god, okay.
Yeah.
Thank God, that's all over. It's just, you're stuck. You're still stuck there. She's not going to be okay.
No, she's not going to be.
Yeah, Leatherface is still alive. There's just like, there's no, I don't know, it's just so uncomfortable even after the film is finished.
Yeah, it stuck with us for a bit. So we went out and bought the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003.
Yeah, we did, just to make ourselves feel a bit better.
And that is next week's video.
Oh, I do just want to say quickly, Daniel Pearl, who was the cinematographer of this film, it was one of his first films he ever did. He is a Texan as well. The cinematography in this film was beautiful.
Oh, it is.
He eventually DOP'd Alien vs. Predator, Requiem. He directed the 2009 Friday the 13th movie, The Boy in 2016. And he also did Every Breath You Take, the Sting, the Police music video, and Meatloaf's I Would Do Anything for Love, but I Won't Do That.
What a career.
Very varied career. I just really like that fact.
So he returned as a cinematographer for 2003.
Yes, he did. He wanted to bookend his career, even though he did work after.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This film is absolutely worth still watching. Anyone who is a film fan, like I said, not necessarily a horror fan, but a film fan, needs to watch this and gain an appreciation for how it changed cinema.
Yeah. This is like, it's seen as not just a masterpiece of horror, but just like an artistic accomplishment of American cinema. You know, it's kind of one of those rare instances where it broke the boundaries of its own genre. People have recognized this for just a very special, unique film.
The sequels have never came close.
No.
Some very fun films, but none of them. I think 2003 is the closest we ever get to feeling some of the things we feel in this film.
2003 is great. I mean, this is not a film that we don't return to this film often.
No, you can't.
It's not
an easy watch. It's not a background film.
It's not a film for casual viewing, but I do appreciate that it is a very special horror movie. It is a true horror movie.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And that's what I love about the genre. It's like you can have a movie like this, but then you can also have something that's very, more cerebral, like Get Out.
Yeah.
More recently. The genre is just so expansive.
It is. And on that note.
Yes.
We are getting ready to record ours on the 2003, so look forward to that next week. If you like this, let us know. Let us know in the comments if you have seen this film. And if you haven't, why not? Why not?
Why the hell not, guys?
Why have you not watched this film? So, we will see you next week. Goodbye.